Hey, I'm Captain Jupes, and this is going to be the second episode of what I will from now on be calling Mastery Materials. This is going to be covering my follower template and my item template, briefer on the item template. But this is the final product. I decided to put it kind of right up front. As you can see, this is how it's going to turn out, and then the rest of this video is going to be me getting there. So we're going to start from pretty much nothing and build up to this. So you should be able to follow along if you would desire to do so. And here it is. This is where we start out. As you can see on the left screen is where I'm going to be doing most of what I'm going to be doing for the followers, and I'll kind of discuss ideas I had along the way. So on the right side is the item template. Matt Mercer, who's a pretty famous dungeon master. He plays on a show called Critical Role, and if you're watching this video, you've probably heard of it. If you hadn't, I recommend to check it out. But he put out this thing on the right, the item template, and I think I added maybe one field, but mostly I left it untouched other than adding some coloring. And I thought, well, I'll try to do the same thing for followers and hirelings. Followers and hirelings being like a character in and of itself that's going to have a personality that'll, swear itself to the party and follow them around, kind of help them out. And as we're going to investigate here, the followers are going to end up with some extra abilities that kind of make them useful, and the hirelings will be sort of I pay some money and I get this sack of hit points that and gets absorbed for me. The basic notion here is I don't want to make an entire stat block for these characters. They aren't supposed to be kind of a taxing thing to use. They should be super easy and provide some easy benefits, and they should take very little brain power to actually come up with their stats. As far as their backstory, obviously sky's the limit, personality sky's the limit, but the actual purpose of these followers and hirelings to a lesser extent is to just make the characters better easily. So a couple ways we want to do that is, one, we don't want anybody to have to track these guys' hit points. That is just going to be, that's too much. Basically, I want these guys to, when it becomes their turn as a follower, they have a few abilities they can use. You pick one of them to use one time, and they move, and that's it. And if they get hit, you can see I will have later, I was kind of thinking about how to do their health, which we'll cover later, but what I ended up doing was basically they take a set number of hits. It doesn't matter how hard the hit is, and at a certain point they retreat, and if they get hit more as they're retreating, then they die, and then that's it. So health easy, attacks easy, armor, whatever, throw something on there. It's a very simple character to use. And the best part is they don't have to follow any rules about what their saves should be or what their abilities are. You just give them some numbers that you think are good, and it's pretty much just out of the box useful. One of the most useful things, I think the most clever, kind of helpful things, is the skill assist. So basically having these guys follow you around, depending on who they are, they'll be able to help you with up to 2 skills. So if you roll on Arcana, for instance, with Aldrich, or if you roll Insight, he's going to, just by being around, he's going to add a +3. He's an insightful guy. He's going to give you like a head nod or a head shake if he thinks something's going on. And he is a battle mage. I think he's called a Night Sorcerer here. I changed that to be battle mage later. It's just words, really. But he's been trained in magic, at least somewhat, so he can help you out a little bit, and he's going to add 3 to your roll. On the other side, we have the hirelings. As you can see, I'm kind of filling those out now in the video. Hirelings are even easier. They are meant to be way simpler, and they take fewer hits. They really aren't meant to have much of a personality, but, do what you will if you're a GM or a player who wants to have a more personable hireling. They have armor and health, and they have 2 combat abilities at most. They can't do magic. I mean, maybe you could have a hireling that does magic. I guess there's no reason not to. But the guys I'm making here, you're going to see a swordsman and a bowman. Pretty simple. The swordsman can swing a sword pretty well, and he can do range if he has to, but not very well. And the bowman can do melee if he has to, but he's a ranged guy. And then they have some gear, which is different than the followers. The gear is just, it has a weapon repair kit. I don't know if that's an actual thing in the Dungeon Master's Guide, to be honest. I think there is something similar, but the point of that is, you know, he can sharpen a sword. It's mostly just meant as like a flavor item. 15 feet of rope, maybe that helps. A fletching kit and 50 ball bearings, you know, maybe those help. I think they're kind of a fun little addition that doesn't add any extra complexity, but, you know, maybe someday that comes in handy. And the whole point of the hireling is he's just this little kind of little bonus that you roll for occasionally. Otherwise, you know, he can be forgotten. And of course, the whole point of all these templates and materials I'm making is I like to print these out on cardstock and hand them to the players. That is the whole point of making any of these templates, is they can be put on paper. I like having something tactile that you can just feel and look at, and I think it's a lot cooler when, you know, the DM has thought to, you know, make this special card just for you. I think players love that. If you watch Critical Role, I think they absolutely love that they get to hold a thing that says this is the item you have, and I don't just tell you what it is and you write it down, or I don't just open up a book and then here it is. I hand you an actual piece of paper, and that kind of is your item, or that is your hireling. You know, I think that's a big piece of fun and a thing I like to bring to my games. So here's me trying to kind of fit it. And as you're about to see, we have the final product, or more or less the final product. At this point, I'll kind of explain what we have going here, and maybe I'll kind of mention the items. I had a lot more recorded here, but unfortunately Adobe crashed and then deleted all my stuff. So I had to re-record the video, so I hope you still like it, but we are missing a little bit of the footage at this point. That is okay. To summarize kind of what's going on here, we have two followers that are sort of one or the other side of a coin. We have the lawful good battle mage, Aldrich, and Grogash, the lawful evil sort of thieves guild archetype dude. He can poison your weapons, he can throw some ball bearings on the ground, he basically a dagger wielding guy, and instead of having him do sneak attack, I just have him do more damage, which takes the place of sneak attack. And you know what, he can do it no matter what every time he hits, and he deals like a maximum of 14 damage, so it doesn't matter. I think he's well balanced. I think he's fine. So as you can see, between Aldrich and Grogash, I took some thought to be like, how many melee hits do I expect them to get? Aldrich is a battle mage, he's a sword wielding guy, so I expect him to kind of be up in it. He has half plate, so he takes 4 hits melee before he leaves, and then an extra ranged hit. So the way that the health is broken down here is you have a total of 5 hits per follower before they retreat. For melee people like Brahm, if he gets hit 4 times in melee, he is gonna break and run. If he gets hit 4 times at range, he is actually not. He's gonna have +1, so 5 total in range. So if the total is 4 and they've all been melee, then he's not going to run away. If the total is 3 melee and 1 ranged, he's not going to leave. He's going to wait until that 5th, unless he's taken 4 melee hits. So that's pretty much how that breaks down. And then you have the skill assists that sort of fit into the archetypes of the characters. And then I thought, well, we'll have for the hirelings different levels. So you can have normal swordsmen, which you would hire at low level, and then expert swordsmen, which are maybe like you're a little bit above or a little bit below mid-level. And that's it. There you go. That is this is the same image we saw at the beginning of the video. It's actually the same exact clip that we saw at the beginning of the video, and this is it. This is what we came up with, and I think it's going to be really nice. Obviously, I can just sort of remove some stuff and then paste it in there to create, you know, a limitless number of cool followers that fit in with the world, and it makes the characters, I think, the players rather, feel cooler when they have someone who's interesting and can do helpful stuff come up to them and be like, hey, I want to work with you. So thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a comment with how it can improve. I'm kind of a work in progress as far as a video editor goes, so hope you enjoyed it. See you later.